The morning sky over Lagos was heavy with clouds, and the streets were wet from the night's rain. Seyi Afolabi, a young cleaner at Bright Tech Industries, arrived early as usual. He carried his old broom and bucket, ready to start his daily work. Though his uniform was faded and his shoes were worn, his heart was always bright. He was known for his gentle smile and humble spirit. As he swept the company gate, he hummed softly, ignoring the sound of traffic and rain. He had little in life, but he was thankful for what he had. To him, hard work was not a punishment, it was a blessing. While cleaning the muddy ground near the roadside, Sei noticed an old woman walking slowly under a small umbrella. Her wrapper was soaked and her slippers kept slipping off in the mud. She was trying to carry 2 heavy shopping bags, but they looked far too heavy for her. The wind blew hard and one of her bags tore open, spilling oranges and vegetables into the muddy water. People passed by quickly, pretending not to see. Some even stepped over the scattered fruits. But Sei didn't think twice. He dropped his broom and ran toward her. "Mama, please let me help you," he said kindly. The woman looked up in surprise. "Ah, my son, you don't have to," she said, breathing heavily. "It's okay, Mama," Sei replied with a smile. "The rain is strong. Let me carry these for you." He picked up every orange carefully, wiped them with his cloth, and placed them back into the torn bag. Then, using a small rope he always carried, he tied the bag neatly so it wouldn't open again. The old woman watched him, amazed by how calm and respectful he was. When she tried to thank him, he waved his hand shyly. "No need to thank me, Mama. We all need help sometimes." He lifted both her bags and carried them across the muddy street. His trousers became dirty, but he didn't mind. When they reached the roadside, the woman asked where he worked. "I work at Bright Tech, Mama," he said, pointing at the big gate nearby. "Just a cleaner, but I like my job." "Just a cleaner?" she repeated softly. "No, my son, there is nothing small about honest work." Sei smiled, a little embarrassed. "Thank you, Mama. That means a lot." The woman looked at him again and noticed the kindness in his eyes. There was something special about him, a quiet dignity. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small bottle of water. "Here, drink this," she said. "You've helped me so much already." Sei laughed lightly. "Ah, thank you, Mama, but please keep it for yourself." "I'm fine." They stood there for a moment, the rain falling softly around them. The woman then said, "The world needs more people like you, my son." Sei shook his head humbly. "Mama, I just do what I can. We must help one another." She smiled warmly. "What is your name?" "Sei," he said. "Sei Afolabi." May good things follow you, Sei," she said, lifting her hand in blessing. "The kindness you give today will return to you one day." Sei chuckled, not taking her words too seriously. "Amen, Mama. Thank you." He helped her find a taxi and made sure she was seated comfortably before returning to his broom. His shirt was soaked and his shoes were covered in mud, but he felt light inside. Something about helping her filled him with peace. When he returned to the gate, one of his co-workers, a guard named Kola, laughed. "Sei, see your clothes. You look like you fought the rain." Sei laughed too. "Ah, Kola, I just helped an old woman. She was struggling." Kola shook his head. "You are too kind, my friend. People will take advantage of that." Sei smiled. "If kindness makes me a fool, then I don't mind." He picked up his broom again and continued sweeping, humming as the rain slowed to a drizzle. Little did he know that the woman he had helped was not just any old woman. She was Mama Grace, the mother of Mr. Tun Grace, the CEO of Bright Tech Industries. That simple act of kindness, done with no expectation, had been seen by fate itself. In the coming days, Sei's life would change in a way he could never imagine. But for now, he remained the same humble cleaner, his heart pure, his spirit strong, sweeping the rain away with a smile. When Mama Grace returned home that rainy morning, her clothes were still damp, but her heart was full of warmth. She sat on her old wooden chair, thinking about the young man who had stopped everything just to help her. His face, his smile, and his gentle words stayed fresh in her mind. "Such a rare heart," she murmured to herself. Later that evening, when her son Mr. Tund Grace came to visit, she couldn't wait to tell him the story. Tund was a tall, calm man in his 40s, the respected CEO of Bright Tech Industries. Despite his busy schedule, he always made time to check on his mother. He greeted her warmly. "Mama, how was your day?" Mama Grace smiled. "Ah, my day was full of surprises, my son. I met an angel this morning." Tund laughed softly. "An angel, Mama? In Lagos traffic?" She nodded seriously. "Yes, my son. A young cleaner helped me when no one else would." I was stuck in the rain with heavy bags and he came to my rescue. Such a humble boy, polite, patient, and kind. His name is Sei. Tund leaned back in his chair, interested. Sei, you say? What does he do? He said he's a cleaner at a place called Bright Tech, she replied. Tund's eyebrows lifted slightly, and a small smile formed on his lips. That's my company, Mama? Mama Grace blinked, surprised. Ah, you mean that kind young man works for you? Yes, Tund said thoughtfully. I have many cleaners, but I think I've seen that name before. Quiet boy, always early. He smiled again. It seems you met one of my staff. Mama Grace nodded. Then you must meet him, Tund. Good people like that deserve to be seen. Her son chuckled. I agree, Mama. But you know, good people don't always look for attention. Sometimes their kindness shines brightest when no one is watching. Mama Grace smiled proudly. That's true, my son. Still, I must thank him properly. He helped me like his own mother. I cannot rest until I see him again. Tund thought for a moment. You can come with me to the office tomorrow then. We'll find him together. That night, Mama Grace prayed quietly for Sei. She didn't know why, but she felt something special about the boy, like his kindness was sent to her by destiny itself. The next morning, the sun shone brightly after the storm. The streets were clean and Lagos bustled with new energy. At Bright Tech Industries, Sei arrived early as always. He swept the company entrance and watered the small flowers by the gate. The other workers passed by him without much notice. Some nodded politely, others ignored him. But Sei didn't mind, he enjoyed his quiet work. He greeted everyone cheerfully, even those who never replied. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Ma, he said with his usual smile. Meanwhile, at that very moment, a black car pulled into the company compound. The guards quickly opened the gate. It was Mr. Tund's car, but this time he wasn't alone. Sitting beside him was Mama Grace, dressed in a beautiful blue wrapper and head tie. The office staff quickly stood at attention when they saw the CEO arriving with an elderly woman. They whispered among themselves, wondering who she was. Good morning, sir, one of the managers greeted. Good morning, Tund replied calmly. Please continue your work. Mama Grace smiled and looked around the compound. Ah, this place is beautiful, she said. Now where is my kind boy? Sei, who was cleaning near the flower pots, had not noticed them yet. He was busy wiping dust from the company signboard. Then he turned around and froze. The same old woman from the rainy day was standing in front of him, smiling. He dropped his rag in surprise. Mama, you're here? Mama Grace laughed. Yes, my son. I came to find you. Tund watched silently, curious. Sei quickly walked up to the woman, wiping his hands nervously. Ah, Mama, I didn't know you were coming. How are you? I am fine, my son, she replied warmly. Yesterday you helped me without knowing who I was. Today I came to say thank you. Sei smiled shyly. Ah, Mama, there's no need for that. I only did what anyone should do. Mama Grace shook her head. No, my son. Not everyone would have done what you did. In this city, kindness is rare. Tund stepped forward then, his expression kind. So, you're the young man my mother has been talking about, he said. Sei turned quickly, startled. Good morning, sir. He bent slightly in respect, realizing it was the CEO himself. Yes, sir. I only helped Mama yesterday. Tund smiled. And I heard you refused her reward too. Sei rubbed his neck shyly. Ah, sir, I didn't do it for reward. I just wanted to help. Tund nodded slowly, studying him. Tell me, Sei, how long have you worked here? Almost 2 years, sir, Sei replied softly. Mama Grace looked proudly at him. Such a humble heart, she said. My son, this world needs more people like you. Tund turned to his mother and said gently, Mama, I think I understand what you meant when you said you met an angel. The workers nearby had gathered quietly, watching in surprise. They couldn't believe the CEO's mother was talking warmly to the cleaner. Mama Grace touched Sei's shoulder. My son, kindness never hides for long. One day, it will lift you higher than you ever dreamed. Sei smiled humbly, not knowing that her words were soon to come true. As they stood there by the gate, the moment felt almost magical. A simple act of kindness connecting two lives from different worlds. Sei still didn't understand what destiny had begun to unfold, but his heart was at peace. And somewhere deep inside, Tund Grace was already planning something that would change the young cleaner's life forever. Mama Grace stepped into the building with quiet confidence, her steps soft but steady. The moment she entered the lobby, the receptionist and a few workers hurried over, their faces full of respect. Everyone knew she was the CEO's mother, though she rarely visited. "Good morning, Mama," they greeted cheerfully. "Good morning, my children," she replied warmly, looking around. The lobby was bright and busy, filled with people walking in and out. Her sharp eyes scanned the room until she saw a young man standing by the window, cleaning the glass carefully with a rag. His clothes were simple and sweat ran down his forehead, but his movements were calm and neat. "Ah, there he is," Mama Grace said with delight. The receptionist blinked in surprise. "Who, Mama?" "That young man," she said, pointing at Sei. "The one cleaning that window." The workers turned to look. Some exchanged puzzled glances. "Mama, you know him?" one asked hesitantly. Mama Grace nodded with a big smile. "Of course I know him. This young man helped me yesterday in the rain. He carried my heavy bags and even fixed my broken basket. Such a kind soul." The room went quiet. People stared at each other in disbelief. The cleaner? The same cleaner who always walked quietly through the halls without anyone noticing? Just then the elevator doors opened and out stepped Mr. Tund Grace, dressed smartly in a navy blue suit. His presence filled the room with silence. Everyone quickly straightened up. "Good morning, sir," the staff chorused. "Good morning," Tund replied calmly. His gaze softened when he saw his mother. "Mama, you didn't tell me you had already arrived." Mama Grace chuckled. "I wanted to surprise you, my son. But I have already met someone very special here." Tund raised an eyebrow. "Someone special?" She nodded and pointed toward Sei. "That young man over there. He helped me yesterday when the rain poured. He didn't know who I was, yet he carried my load as if I were his mother." Tund turned his head slowly, following her gesture. His eyes fell on Sei, still holding the cleaning rag, frozen in disbelief. For a moment no one spoke. The CEO and the cleaner stood facing each other. Two men from completely different worlds, connected by one small act of kindness. Sei quickly dropped the rag and bowed slightly. "Good morning, sir," he said nervously. Tund nodded slowly, his eyes thoughtful. "Good morning. Sei, right?" "Yes, sir," Sei replied quietly. Mama Grace smiled proudly. "That's him. My helper in the rain." The staff whispered among themselves, shocked by what they were hearing. Some felt embarrassed, remembering how they had often ignored or mocked Sei for being just a cleaner. Tund took a slow step forward, studying the young man before him. "So, you're the one my mother has been talking about," he said softly. Sei's hands trembled slightly. "Ah, sir, it was nothing truly. I only did what anyone should do." Mama Grace interrupted gently. "Don't say that, my son. You did what many others refused to do. That is not nothing, that is kindness." Tund looked from his mother to Sei, a small smile forming on his lips. "My mother rarely praises anyone, Sei. If she speaks of you this way, then you must have done something truly good." Sei bowed his head again, unsure how to respond. "Thank you, sir. I only tried to help." The workers nearby continued to watch, some whispering softly. They couldn't believe what was happening. The CEO was speaking to a cleaner with respect, even smiling at him. Mama Grace turned to the receptionist and said kindly, "This young man deserves to be appreciated. Not because he helped me but because he helped without expecting anything in return." Tund nodded thoughtfully. "I agree, Mama." He then looked at Sei again. "Tell me, Sei, how long have you worked here?" "Almost 2 years, sir," Sei replied. "And has anyone ever commended you for your work?" Sei hesitated before answering. "Not really, sir. I just try to do my job well." Tund's expression softened. "I see. Well, sometimes life tests us with humble beginnings before showing us where we truly belong." Mama Grace beamed with pride. "That's true, my son. The way this young man spoke to me with respect and care reminded me that goodness still lives in people." Sei smiled nervously, his heart beating fast. He couldn't believe that the old woman he had helped yesterday was standing beside his boss's mother. Mama Grace reached out and patted his arm kindly. "May your kindness never go unnoticed, my son. What you did for me I will never forget." The staff watched quietly. Some felt guilty for how they had ignored Sei before. A few even lowered their heads in shame. Tund turned to them and said firmly, "Let this be a reminder. Respect is not earned by wealth or position, but by the heart." The words hung in the air. The staff nodded, humbled. Mama Grace smiled and said softly, "My son, this boy deserves a blessing." Tund nodded slowly. "Yes, Mama. And he will get one." He looked at Sei and said, "Tomorrow meet me in my office. I'd like to speak with you about something important." Sei's eyes widened. "Yes, sir." Thank you, sir. Mama Grace chuckled happily. See, my son? Kindness always finds its way home. As she and Tund walked away, Say stood there for a moment, still stunned. Around him, the other workers looked at him differently now, no longer as just the cleaner but as someone special. He picked up his cleaning rag again, but this time he couldn't stop smiling. For the first time in a long while, he felt seen. And somewhere deep in his heart, Say felt that something great was about to happen, something far beyond what he could imagine. The air inside the company lobby grew still. Everyone stood frozen, waiting for Mr. Tund's next words. His deep voice broke the silence. Say, he said calmly, walking closer, you helped my mother when you didn't know who she was. You carried her bags, showed her respect, and asked for nothing in return. That kind of heart is rare. Say stood there, his cleaning rag still in his hand, unsure what to do. His eyes shifted nervously from Tund to Mama Grace, who was smiling proudly. The other workers watched in disbelief, whispering quietly among themselves. Is this really happening? Someone muttered under their breath. Mr. Tund turned toward the staff. Many of you see him every day, he said firmly. But how many of you ever greeted him? How many ever noticed the effort he puts into keeping this place clean? No one answered. Heads lowered. The silence said everything. Tund faced Say again, his tone softening. You didn't just help my mother, Say. You showed me something important. That true character is not found in titles or clothes, but in the heart. He paused, looking around the lobby before continuing. From today you are no longer a cleaner. You will work in administration. We'll train you and you'll start learning how this company runs. For a moment, Say couldn't move. His mouth fell open slightly. The mop he had been holding slipped from his fingers and clattered to the floor. Sir, he stammered, his voice trembling. I don't know what to say. Mama Grace smiled warmly and said, Say thank you, my son. You earned this with your good heart. Say blinked rapidly, still in shock. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mama. I never expected this. Tund nodded. You deserve it, Say. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness opens the biggest doors. The workers clapped softly, some smiling with genuine happiness, others looking ashamed for how they had treated him before. Mama Grace walked up to Say and gently touched his shoulder. My son, she said kindly, when you helped me that day you didn't know anyone was watching. But heaven was watching. Never stop being who you are. Tears filled Say's eyes. Thank you, Mama. I was only doing what is right. Mr. Tund gestured toward his assistant. Prepare his papers. I want him moved to the administration office immediately. Let him start training next week. Yes, sir, the assistant replied quickly. The other workers began to murmur in awe. Imagine, the cleaner is now going to the office, one said quietly. Life can really change in one day. Tund looked at Say again. Do you have any formal training? Say shook his head slowly. No, sir. I finished secondary school but could not continue because of money. Then we'll fix that, Tund said simply. You'll get proper training and schooling through the company. Hard work and honesty should never go unrewarded. Say's lips trembled. Sir, I don't have words. I only prayed for strength to keep working, not for this kind of blessing. Mama Grace chuckled softly. Sometimes blessings find you when you least expect them. Say bowed deeply. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you. Tund nodded firmly. I believe you, Say. Just keep being the man you are, humble and kind. The rest will follow. The lobby filled with applause. The cleaners, receptionists, and even senior staff clapped for Say. For once, the man they had always walked past became the center of respect. Mama Grace beamed with pride. You see, my son, she said to Tund. Goodness always returns home. This young man helped me when I had nothing to offer him, and now look how God has rewarded him. Tund smiled. You are right, Mama. This world needs more people like Say. Say couldn't stop smiling. It felt like a dream, one he didn't want to wake from. The same building where he used to clean floors now opened doors for him to climb higher. As everyone returned to work, Mama Grace turned to Tund and whispered, I think you should keep an eye on that boy. He will go far. Tund nodded. I already plan to, Mama. He reminds me of how I started, from the bottom, with only faith and honesty. Later that afternoon, as Say walked through the company halls, people greeted him differently. Good afternoon, Say. Congratulations. Well done. He responded with his usual humble smile. Nothing about his heart had changed, only his hope had grown stronger. When the day ended, Mama Grace came to him one last time before leaving. My son, thank you again. May your kindness never fade. Sei bowed slightly. Thank you, Mama. Meeting you was the best part of my life. She laughed softly. You never know what more is coming. And as she stepped into the elevator beside her son, Sei watched them go, feeling a quiet joy inside. He didn't help her for reward, yet life rewarded him anyway. That night, as he walked home under the soft Lagos moonlight, he whispered to himself, "It's true, when you do good without expecting anything, good finds you back." And somewhere deep in his heart, he promised himself he would never stop being kind, no matter where life took him next. Months had passed since the day everything changed for Sei Afolabi. The memory of that morning when Mr. Tund and Mama Grace had lifted him from a simple cleaner to an administrative trainee still felt like a dream. But it was no dream, it was his new life. Now Sei sat in his small but neat office at Bright Tech Industries. The sunlight streamed through the window, falling across his desk where files, notebooks, and a new computer sat neatly arranged. On the wall was a framed paper that read, "Hard work is silent strength." It was a gift from Mama Grace. He smiled as he typed carefully on the keyboard, trying to finish a report. His work was still new to him, the meetings, the schedules, the computer systems, but every day he learned something new. And every day he thanked God for the chance. Though his clothes were cleaner now and his shoes shined, Sei hadn't changed at all. He still greeted everyone with a warm smile, from the guards at the gate to the managers in the upper offices. "Good morning, sir." "Good morning, Ma," he would say just like before. Some of the cleaners laughed whenever they saw him. Oga Sei, one of them would tease. "You don't forget us small people now that you are in office?" Sei would laugh and shake his head. "Never. I started here with you. We are all the same, my friend." He often helped the cleaners when he passed them in the hallway. If he saw one struggling with a mop or a bucket, he didn't mind stopping to assist. "Let me help you carry that," he would say, even in his shirt and tie. People admired him for that humility. Word spread through the company that Sei, the former cleaner, had become one of the most hard-working and polite workers in administration. The managers trusted him, the staff respected him, and even visitors noticed his calm nature. One afternoon, while he was sorting through files, there was a gentle knock on his door. He looked up and smiled. "Come in." The door opened slowly and there she was, Mama Grace, dressed in her colorful wrapper, holding a small basket. Sei stood up quickly, his face lighting up. "Mama, what a surprise. You came to see me?" She laughed warmly. "Yes, my son. I was in the neighborhood and decided to check on my favorite young man." Sei walked over to help her sit down. Mama, I'm so happy to see you. Please sit. Can I get you water or tea?" Mama Grace waved her hand gently. "No, my son, I am fine. I only came to see how you are doing." Sei smiled proudly. "By God's grace I am fine, Mama. The work is hard sometimes, but I am learning a lot. Everyone here has been kind." Mama Grace nodded, her eyes shining. "That makes me happy. You see, my son, goodness always returns. The good you did that day came back to you, not because you asked but because your heart was pure." Sei looked down humbly. "Mama, I only did what anyone should do. I never thought something like this would happen." Mama Grace smiled kindly. "And that's what makes it beautiful. True kindness expects nothing in return. You didn't help me to gain anything, and that's why the world rewarded you." Her words stayed in his heart. She looked around the office proudly. "You've come a long way, Sei. This is only the beginning. Always remember where you started. Stay humble and keep your heart clean." Sei nodded. "I will, Mama. I promise." As she stood to leave, the staff passing by in the corridor greeted her with deep respect. Everyone at Bright Tech now knew her as the kind mother whose visit had changed one man's destiny and taught the whole company a lesson. After she left, Sei sat back in his chair, thinking. He realized that Mama Grace was right. Kindness, when given freely, had the power to change lives. Not just his, but everyone's. From that day, he made it a point to keep helping others in small ways. When new cleaners joined the company, he would show them around and encourage them. "Don't be ashamed of your work," he would say. "Every job has dignity if you do it with honesty." His story spread slowly across the offices. The managers told it to new employees as an example of humility and hard work. Some even began calling it the story of the kind cleaner. Months later, at a company gathering, Mr. Tun shared Sei's story once more. "This young man reminds us," he said, "that greatness does not begin with wealth or position. It begins with character." The crowd applauded and Sei stood quietly, his heart full. He didn't like the attention, but he was grateful that his simple act of kindness had inspired others. After the event, he walked back to his small office, smiling softly to himself. The evening sun was setting, painting the walls in a golden glow. He looked out the window where he could see one of the new cleaners sweeping near the gate, just like he used to. He stepped outside and called gently, "My brother, come inside for water. You look tired." The cleaner looked up, surprised but grateful. "Thank you, sir." Sei handed him a bottle of water and said, "Keep doing your work with love. You never know who's watching." The young man nodded, smiling. As the day ended, the company felt different, warmer, kinder, more united. The story of Sei and Mama Grace had changed the hearts of everyone who heard it. And every time someone at Bright Tech saw a cleaner or a worker doing a humble job, they remembered Sei Afolabi, the man whose kindness lifted him higher than money ever could. Even years later, people still told his story, not because he became successful but because he never stopped being good. And in the quiet of his heart, Sei always remembered Mama Grace's words. True kindness expects nothing, but it always comes back.